Hello and welcome. Sorry about that minor digital glitch there. Hello and welcome to the Google Digital Garage. Today we'll be doing in manage your digital footprint for your job search. Hopefully a few of you are here with a few ideas of maybe areas that you could improve, ideas that you could implement, or even just things that you could improve that's currently digitalizing your digital side of your job search. So the first thing we're going to have a look at is the two areas that we're going to dive into today. So understanding your digital footprint and evaluating your social media. Before we kick in today, I'd just like to introduce Zoe. If I'm right, the camera flips me. Should we comment in today, the moderating today. I'm basically helping you and everybody else on here ask questions and get involved throughout today's session on how to interact and how to ask questions. So do feel free to ask questions. And then any technical problems at the top of your screen, approximately here, you'll be able to refresh. You'll be able to basically solve any issues when it comes to sound or video. So any problems you do have, hit refresh. If you can't get involved because you can't interact because you're not signed in, do feel free to just sign in and it should give you a really nice, easy way of basically interacting with today's content. So, understanding your digital footprint. The reason we're looking at this is because 57% of recruiters say that they discovered content that caused them not to hire someone. So what does this mean from your perspective? This basically means nearly 2/3 of recruiters have made the decision not to hire someone because of something that they have seen, witnessed, even just caught a glimpse of on social media. If you think about this in sort of our real world, when you look at something like I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. I know on 2 occasions, people have either been removed or it's been massively talked about in the media because of a tweet, a post, something that they've engaged with in the past. And then all of a sudden, this has then meant that because of this, they've either become a negative influence on what they've done. It's caused issues, or more importantly, it's actually gone entirely wrong and they've been removed from the show. This is extreme examples, but the problem is that that's the part of their career. And it can literally be something from when you were a child on MySpace, on Habbo, High Five, all these options. And when someone gets to that area and gets famous, or someone's looking for you as an individual as a job search, this now means that it's, in theory, the skeletons can be found in your closet, or any information that's not even negative can be misconstrued. But the main thing is, what can you do about this? So because you know they're looking, what can you actually actively do to reduce the chances of this? Well, the first thing we need to understand is, well, what is a digital footprint? All the information that exists online about a person, a brand, or organization. So when I'm talking about this, I literally am talking about anything that you've liked, that you've engaged with, that you've interacted with in the past. So how can we do like a bit of an idea of how to actually look for this and how to check your digital footprint? So first of all, have you ever shared content yourself? So have you wrote a post? Have you found something engaging, something funny, something relevant, and you've hit share? And then you've made your little comment at the top of it and shared it with your friends, with your family, with your audience, depending on which platform you are using. Often, things to have a look for here is, who are you sharing that from? Sometimes content is put on pages that are relevant and that you can see are branded. Other times, those pages could just be pages that are trying to drive social media traffic. Sometimes they can be left wing, right wing, all sorts of potential, I suppose, digital dangers. But the main thing to do is think, right, content that I share now, I've added an extra layer of thought process about because I'm a mature adult or a young adult. And then all of a sudden, this then means that you need to consider content that you shared in the past. The same when it comes to pages that you follow. The same when it comes to posts that you are tagged in. So the best method here is to literally go through your social media with a tooth comb and just think, right, is this stuff relevant to what I do now? Is this stuff relevant to how I think now? And more importantly, can I spend some time just cleaning this up? And this could literally mean scrolling through your social media since your social media began. I joined Facebook in about 2000 and possibly 2005, I think it was, when I was at university. And they had a snowboarding trip, and that's where they put all the pictures to be able to see from the entire week tour that was in Teens in France. And I was a bit like, I don't really want to go on social media, but this Facebook thing keeps getting bigger and bigger. And the only way I can get access to these pictures is to join it. So I joined the Facebook group. I got all the pictures. It was great to see all the pictures. And then since then, I used it at university. I posted a few things, played a few games. And then all of a sudden, when I've done this myself, it's like, what am I doing here? Why have I shared this silly post? Why have I liked this bit of content? Why have I made a comment so flippantly on someone's post with swear words, with, at the time, relevant, funny content, but now definitely just puts me in a potential negative light with potential clients, with potential jobs, because simply it's something that isn't relevant to me now. So the first thing you do is just go through stuff with a bit of a tooth comb. My word, a fine brush, a fine comb, and basically remove the content you think is not relevant to you. Then go to your pages that you actually follow. So flick through your different pages, see what's relevant to you now versus what's not relevant to you. You'll also probably find pages that your friends at university randomly followed because they thought it was funny at the time, and at the time you had a laugh about it. But again, the problem is this links back to you. And then the same with posts that you were tagged in. So for example, on Facebook, you've got an entire section called posts that you were tagged in. Remove yourself. Then when we're having a look at your social media, what we can also do is assess your content to be able to flip through it for the future. So once we go through this concept here of your history, you've now understood what is your digital footprint. You've understood what you've done in the past. So by removing stuff that you've shared, removing the pages that you've followed and the tags that you've done, you've started to clean this up. So what I see this as, a really good analogy in my eyes, is imagine every single foot on the sand behind you is your digital footprint. And sand is fairly pliable. You can just delete, remove, and just basically removing these digital footprints in the sand that you have taken a step to do, whether it be a comment, a like, a share. But now you're in an amazing situation to evaluate your social media moving forward. So you can now choose, how do I make my footprints in the future more accurate? How do I make my footprints in the future more relevant to what I want people to be able to see? So every single time you're doing your content, every single time you're posting something, is to consider, what is the goal of this post? For example, on LinkedIn, this is a really good way of thinking about this, is I'm trying to get a job in this sector, or I'm currently in this sector and I want to be able to move up in this sector. To be able to research relevant content, think about what your content is about. Why am I writing this? Who am I writing this for? When you're writing your content, to start thinking about these things continuously, the images that you use, the text that you use, the grammar that you use. But what's amazing about this is now you're posting with these things in mind. Then who is on your network? Do you want to have these random people who don't add any value to your social, or any value to your LinkedIn platform, or any value to your life moving forward? You can remove them, but you can also start to add people who you think could have influence in there. And then last of all, one thing to consider for this could also be to adjust your privacy settings. So one thing to consider here is, for example, my personal life is on Facebook. And yes, I could leave my Facebook settings open, but I used to work at a school. So when I worked in a school, there was a fairly strict social media policy where basically they didn't want your accounts to be fully open. But the good thing about this, it made me think about my social media. So I did this process a few years ago, got rid of a load of stuff, anything that was maybe not necessarily edgy, but something that might have been funny, or a video that I've shared that I do like and it makes me giggle. I can change the settings on the individual posts. But more importantly, on my Facebook, I've changed my name. So it's not my full name, which means I add people, they don't add me, or they might see me through somebody else's and know it's me, but it's not my full name. Additionally, I've changed my privacy settings so that only friends can see my full account. And then on top of that, I've also made it so when someone adds me in a post, I have to approve it on social media for Facebook. But then what I do is I use Twitter and LinkedIn for my professional self. So I then advertise stuff and I post stuff which is intentionally to bolster my professional career. So one way of doing this is not just to adjust your privacy settings, but it's also to consider, actually, I know what I'm posting, I know who I'm posting it to and why, and the settings that I've adjusted directly impact on my life, which then means actually I'm going to post how I want here and I'm just going to have a little think about it. But I know that only my friends and good friends and family are going to see this. While here, I'm going to start thinking about it. I'm going to make it prim and proper. I'm going to think about the content that's being posted. So guidelines, a simple way of looking at this is do not post any confidential information about yourself. So a simple way of thinking about this also is, well, what constitutes as confidential information? Well, having a picture of your house, having a picture of the key for your front door. I had a friend recently who posted on social media a picture of their card for their job and crossed out like the number, the company number, and crossed out their card number. So, for example, it was like a card so they could type it in entry systems. But what she didn't do was put an image over the barcode. I, out of curiosity, thought, I wonder if that's scannable. Took that image, cropped the image, put it through a barcode reader, scanned that, and now had that code to get in the building where she worked. Not something you would think is confidential, but actually something that very well could be confidential. So consider this with even house keys. People can draw around them, and I believe it's possible. Ensure your content is accurately reflects your values and avoid discriminatory or hate speech. Again, an obvious one, but just consider where these sources are. This is why I'm saying sometimes when you share something, consider the source of this, because if you've not, you could unintentionally misassociate yourself with a value or a content that actually is not remotely you, but you didn't check the source. Never post content showing or supporting illegal activities, says what it is on the tin. Practice discretion when leaving reviews of previous employees. So consider that if you're ranting at a previous employee and it is literally just a rant, not a professional criticism, it's not something that is open to the public and you're just leaving your mark on it, basically slating that employee. It's not to say you can't leave reviews. If you've had a bad experience, by all means, consider that. But consider the impact of your review is basically just worst burger place ever. The staff when I worked there were horrible and I think they're all stupid. It's like, well, what sort of criticism is that? Give professional criticism. And then just consider that anything you post, from a Google review to a Yelp review to a Facebook review, things like that are often far more public facing. And if your name is directly associated to it, it will directly associate you when someone searches for it. So be active in your networks, engage with people in your networks. This is the whole concept of social media. Share your interest and content, but be considerate of it. Engage with companies that interest you rather than just random companies. This is why you're building your social network, not just ticking boxes and adding random people. Show your personality and consider that actually you're trying to reflect your best self, your best professional self, your best personal self. And sometimes by doing this, it will give people a little bit of an insight into who you are. A video online talking about something, a video interview is suddenly stepping that up, but it's reflecting your personality, which may help further down the line when someone is actually looking at engaging with you as an individual. So engage with your network, share interesting content, engage with companies that interest you, that are going to advance your knowledge, advance your career, show your personality, but most importantly, clean up your digital footprint. How will you do this? Go through this historically, go through things with a fine-tooth comb and look at all of these different platforms. Google MySpace, Google High Five, and consider actually what could I do to alter these and make them more professional for maybe your uni days. Either way, thank you so much for getting involved today. Hopefully we've had a few people watch and a few people ask some questions. If not, either way, have a good day, and hopefully you'll improve your social media and your content online to give you the best opportunity to get a job moving forward. Thank you. And thank you, Zoe, for today as well.